Hello, welcome to Tuesday Live. I am Omini Odan. Last week, Wednesday, President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated 43 ministers after a two-day retreat for the next level agenda to consolidate on gains already made by the present administration. When you say present administration, we're talking about across board. Developmentalists see a robust economy with the next level agenda roadmap in crucial areas that include jobs creation, power, education, security, and anti-corruption, infrastructure, roads and rail, and technology in advancing development in Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari had reminded the ministers that the core objectives of the administration are to improve security, achieve diversified, inclusive economic growth, and the fight and the anti-corruption onslaughts. The president also tasked the ministers to intensify efforts at reducing internal security threats to provide the much-needed environment to fast-track national economy. Also, already, the ministers have hit the ground running with familiarization visit defining the focus of the administration. How well are they going to key into the federal government's development programs in building a buoyant economy that supports inclusive growth, particularly employment? How do they intend to meet the expectations of Nigerians to advance good governance and growth? And how well do they understand social contracts? Answers and more after this background by Mitare Ekwen.
With the renewal of its social contract with Nigerians, the Buhari administration set out to consolidate on the achievements of the last 4 years and chart a bold plan to take Nigeria to the next level. This was necessary considering heavy investments made across sectors, including railway and roads development, expansion of power generation and distribution, revival of agriculture, and promoting cottage industries, to mention a few. Having raised the bar in priority areas of security, the economy, and the fight against corruption, President Muhammadu Buhari went on to name 43 members of his new cabinet, who were duly confirmed by the Senate, to drive the next level agenda. To ensure members of the new cabinet are in sync with the administration on the next level agenda, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, served them with requisite documents that detailed status reports on the implementation of policies, programs, and projects of the Buhari administration, as well as its 2019 to 2023 roadmap. A presidential retreat followed, and for 2 days, the ministers bonded, brainstormed, familiarized themselves with the next level agenda, and agreed on key performance indicators and deliverables to be achieved. While inaugurating the new cabinet in the council chambers at the State House, President Muhammadu Buhari emphasized the need for synergy to address the nation's challenges and improve the well-being of Nigerians.
I believe you are ready to get to work. Indeed, the work has already started. The core objectives of this administration is to improve security, achieve diversified, inclusive economic growth, and fight corruption. I am convinced that we can build a buoyant economy that supports inclusive growth and creates broad-based prosperity for every Nigerian.
Many Nigerians already applaud the composition of the new cabinet and the decision of the Buhari administration to institute a framework coordinated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to monitor and evaluate the performance of each ministry to fast-track service delivery to Nigerians.
I must start by commending Mr. President for assembling one of the best cabinets in the history of Nigeria so far, because being very meticulous in nature, he took his time for the first time to bring an assemblage of high-notch, performance-driven personalities to take charge of the affairs of this government. He also took time to make sure that there was a mix of both the elderly and the young. So far, the president of the government have showed commitment to ensuring that deliverables are achieved by this very cabinet. You can see the time they took to go into retreat and then the mandate you are talking about. That means there will be key performance indicators.
The president has set up the machinery when they had a 2-day retreat with the ministers. And everyone was made to understand there is not going to be business as usual. So ministers have to operate based on targets.
Sign a mandate form which shows that you are ready for this job and I'm out to contribute. The president did not nominate you to come and benefit, but to contribute to the growth of Nigeria, irrespective of the ministry that you found yourself, in terms of the policy you meant and what are the new things that you are bringing to the table is a good one.
Certainly, the task before the new cabinet is not a tea party, and the onus is on everyone in the Buhari administration to position and sustain Nigeria's trajectory on the path of steady growth and development.
Yes, the backgrounder by Mitarikwen puts us through and sets the tone for the program tonight. And like he said in his last word, that the task before the cabinet is not a tea party. Very instructive. Well, Tuesday Live has a character. It's an audience interactive program. At some point, the lines will be opened, and when we get across to you, your name will be displayed on the screen. Go straight to the point and make your input. Don't rigmarole because for want of time. And when we get across to you, turn down the volume of your television set to avoid the echo. Well, I have a full house, gentlemen and a lady, and that lady is the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Pauline Tellen. Good to have you on Tuesday Live.
Good evening.
And also to my immediate far left, I have Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliyu, industrialist, businessman, and former minority leader, House of Representatives. Good to have you on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
And just on the sidelines, I told Professor Sam Amadi that we didn't have light here. So Professor Sam Amadi is of the Faculty of Law, based University, Abuja. Good to have you on Tuesday Live.
Thank you.
Well, to take off with discussion, let me say that, let me, on behalf of all of us here, say a very warm congratulations to the Honourable Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you on board.
Thank you.
And across board, on the biggest television network in Africa, you were the only minister that went to inspect a brand new structure that will house your ministry.
Right.
Where are we with that? I know you gave 2 weeks
Sure.
to your contractor. Are you there already, or you are still inspecting the project?
No, we're still waiting for the contractor to
Okay, beautiful.
tidy up.
That takes us to the program now.
Yes.
Just last week, you finished the retreat. And like the reporter said, let me amplify Mr. President. He indirectly amplified Mr. President's comment that it's not a tea party.
Sure.
So, praising the retreat, I'll simply say, after your retreat and your swearing in, what next?
Is to swing into action. I want to start by thanking Mr. President for the confidence reposed in me and my other 42 colleagues to be on board to assist him pilot the affairs of this great nation, Nigeria. The retreat focused on the 3 focal points of this administration. First, is the issue of security, which you all know security is key to anything we do. Without security, we can't be here. The next is to fight against corruption. The fighting against corruption is a task that must be done if we want this country to move forward. If we don't fight corruption, corruption will fight us and will kill this country. God forbid. I'm sure we all love Nigeria. We all have children, and the future of these children is in our hands. So everything that needs to be done to ensure things are done right at the right time for the future generation, we must work towards that. The third main point of this administration is to improve the economy. Improving the economy is cardinal, and Mr. President has given us the right to act that these 3 points of his agenda is the point that we should all work towards in our various ministries to ensure that we take Nigeria to the next level. And you'll agree with me that my ministry is central to the 3-point agenda that this administration is working towards achieving a greater Nigeria. The issue, let me start with security. Security, women are key to all security issues. Women are peacemakers. Women are the greatest security in the homes and everywhere. We secure the child for 9 months in our womb. I'm sure most of you don't think about that. There is no security than a mother securing the child for 9 months in her womb and nurtured the child all through life until adolescent. So women are central, they are key if we want to achieve security. The young men that are used are our children. The men that are used to cause problem, the issue of Boko Haram, they are either our sons or our husbands. So women have vital role to play in the issue of security. The economy, women are mothers. Women, look at the activities of women. Take, for example, the market women. The role of women in the economy cannot be quantified. If women are given credit facilities, they use it well, and once the economic status of a woman is improved, it is the family that enjoys it.
We'll get to that. Let me quickly intercept a bit. For the first time in many years, not that it has not happened before, this will be the first time Nigerians saw what we will say the right office driving public governance in Nigeria. Shortly after the retreat and shortly after the inauguration of ministers by Mr. President, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, spoke, and he was very assertive on what, meaning report and hit the ground running. And in a matter of 24 hours, sign the mandate of your ministry for onward transmission to the National Assembly, so that we clearly define your mandate. Tied to that comment and now, would you say, as a minister in the Federal Republic in this administration, talking about next level agenda, you're on speed with this?
We are. We are fully charged, and we are committed to drive our mandate to take Nigeria to the next level.
Okay, beautiful. Proceeding. Let me go to Farouk Adamu Aliyu. As a private sector person, though I will not divulge politics from you, you're a politician more or less. What is your assessment so far where we are?
Well, I think the assessment of the ministers for now will be based on those that came back, because 50% or more were ministers who served in the last regime, which means in opinion of Mr. President, they have done well. I can say that yes, they have. If you look at what they did in their various ministries, there has been a lot of improvement, because coming from where we came from, there has been a lot of improvement in this country. Take agriculture. For the first time in this country, people have gone back to the farms. The government is so serious that now we could at least, as a nation, at least provide not completely enough rice to feed ourselves, but certainly more than 90% of the rice we eat, which is like the staple food in this country, that is being provided by us, the Nigerian populace. So the government has driven well in that direction. Let's also talk about the security. Yes, there has been a lot of improvement, but there are challenges as well. There are improvements in the area of security where, if all of us as Nigerians can remember that back in the days when bombs were all over the place, in Abuja, from here to Kano, you go across probably 100 checkpoints. Now that is gone. But of course, a lot of us will forget that that has happened in this country. Yes, there are challenges, as I said. Now, new things have, the kidnappings are there, the harder farmer crisis are there, which I think the government is tackling it, but the government should do more in such a way that the way the issue of Boko Haram has been tackled, to at least restrict them to certain part of the country, that should also be taken care of to ensure that everybody in this country will sleep with his or her eyes closed. So I think the government has done relatively well, but the government should do extremely better in that. Now, fight against corruption also, which has been part of the cardinal point of this government. For the first time also in this country, there are persons that were hitherto untouchable and have been made to be accountable for what they have done. And for the first time in this country also, so much huge amount of resources have been returned. Huge properties all over the place by officials of the government that have corruptly enriched themselves. We see this every day. And this also serves as a lesson. Also, for the first time, the government of the day has put behind bars former governors, members of the party, to trial and conviction. Some of them are in prison today, as an example. So I think also the intention, you could see like the intention of the leader, Mr. President, means well. I don't think there is anything he does deliberately to hurt anything in this country. But of course, as a human being, he's not infallible. He makes mistakes here and there. And also in terms of governance as well. There are some mistakes which I hope these set of ministers will take note of the mistakes that have happened in the last 4 years, try to address them, like in the area of employment. Certainly the government needs to do more. Also in the area of power generation, we have not seen so much improvement. As an industrialist now speaking, I think the government needs to be more, and thank God the government realized that, look, Ministry of Power needs to be created. So now we have a minister who is dedicated to ensure you and I have lights in a constant manner. So I think the minister should hit the ground running to ensure that these issues of transmission, distribution, generation are sorted once and for all, at least within the next 4 years, to ensure that it will not be just a story, because we've been hearing of 6,000 megawatts for the last 20 years. And the government should also prove to us, Nigerians, that look, the $16 billion that was said to have been expended in power, let us see where are those equipment, who spent what, so that it will be a lesson also. This, I'm tying it, power generation and corruption also. Because back in the days when I was in National Assembly, we tried to investigate that issue, but probably because the government of the day was the government that gave out those contracts, there were issues. I know as of today, if you go to the ports, there are turbines that are there for the last 10, 15 years. when they were giving orders to these turbines, there is one particular site I remember, somewhere in an Enugu state. They ordered equipment that could not cross over the bridge. They didn't even remember. So thank God our colleague here probably will shed more light on that. So these kind of things need to be checked to ensure these people, the people of this country, get the benefit of what has been spent on our behalf. Because
before I forget this, shortly after his re-election, Mr. President had been very emphatic about 3 core things. He will ensure a larger inclusiveness. There was inclusiveness, but he wants to expand it. And the fact that he's talking about the fact that, look, this is my last chance to deliver on my vision for Nigeria. So that this passion he has shown from the day he was re-elected, meaning every step he takes, there's this caution. From your perspective, as a private sector person and a politician, people who have been appointed to serve in his government, Nigerians, the public, what would be your advice? Because clearly, the Honourable Minister of Women Affairs is right here with us. She has a mandate. But if, peradventure, let me imagine that Professor Sam is coming from somewhere in the rural fringes of Nigeria, and you're coming from somewhere in Nigeria, you don't allow her function follow due diligence. Would Mr. President's vision to deliver on this is very passion, that this is last chance to rule this country, be achieved?
Well, thank God this
Looking
time,
at the generality of Nigerians.
Yes, okay, just a little digression. Thank God this time around I was made to understand they signed mandate forms, the ministers, which means I'm sure those forms would include deliverance, targets. Such targets, if are not met, there will be sanctions. But I think also Mr. President made some mistakes as a human being. What I'm saying is that in forming the cabinet, probably before the 4 years ago, I think more younger persons need to be injected into the cabinet.
But somebody in one of the reports commended him.
Well, it's a matter of perception. It's a matter of opinion. But I'm telling you, the average age of the minister is about 50. We should also go down to 30-something year, 40, so that when grooming, we groom such persons that can take over from us, that are not that old, but certainly, So in that regard, I think, as a nation, we also need to start building our youth, also the women representation. Probably next time, Mr. President needs to look at the women representation also, probably to have more women in the cabinet as well. Just to have sense of belonging, what you spoke about.
Yes.
But as I said, nothing. I know the president extremely well. Nothing is being done that is deliberate. And as a human being, he's not infallible.
Okay. My next step will go to the structural plan of the next level agenda. But let's not forget one thing. There's a critical sector in every economy. And if you don't give them space, it's like you've locked yourself in. And I'm happy today you're in that sector. Your assessment of the PPP posture of the government during the change matter. Now the government has transmitted into the next level agenda. What is your PPP of this government? And if you think it's a bit doubtful, what would be advised to if? Because they say if you don't breathe life to the private sector, then it's like you are already cut off is a good gamut of the economy.
Well, I think the last 4 years, the government had been slightly, you can say, well enough pro-private sector. They have, from day one, there's been no sense in which the government reversed. Since 2000, I think Nigerian governments have been pro-private sector. And that's why the issue around privatization, in spite of the queries around methodology, whether it's working, the government did not reverse anything. So you can see that the major programs that signal partnership with private sector, there was no reversal. So the government, by its economic recovery and growth plan and other policy documents, actually commits to public-private partnership. Now, public-private partnership is our omnibus, it's a portmanteau word. There are various forms in which they take. Today we're discussing the $9 billion debt that federal government is now slammed with, arising from the arbitral award with the PDNI. That's a public-private partnership. So public-private partnership in themselves are not sacrosanct. They don't necessarily mean that every public-private partnership produces public value. And I think if you look at the history of this country, and of course, the Attorney General has said they're going to investigate who did what, because there's a sense in which people think that perhaps those contracts were not properly structured, perhaps poorly negotiated. So the lesson is, number one, that the government cannot outsource its policy making to private sector. If you look at China, Korea, and Asian countries as a whole, and even the United States of America, the impression we always get that the private sector grows the economy, or the private sector drives the economy. There's no economy in the world, from Europe to Asia, whose growth was actually driven by private sector. Public sector drives the economy, but creates the job they want the private sector to perform. And let me show what that means. What that means is that the private sector is actually for profit, don't forget that. And so what happens is that if you want to have good governance, you find creative ways in which you can incentivize private sector to do what you want to be done. The private sector, by its nature, will not do exactly the strategic national interests you want, except there's close supervision. The design of that project matters. The processes in which you coordinate delivery to align with public interest is critical. Even in power, for example, a few weeks ago, Egypt commissioned 10,000 megawatts with Siemens, for 3 years, which is massive. Now, let's not forget that Egypt has not privatized the sector. They are still running the government, but much more commercially oriented, and they have staggered the period in which they want to now privatize. It's okay, fine. We're going to do subsidy and gradually remove the tariff subsidy for 3-4 years until when we have seen that the capacity has grown, we can give to the private sector. So the point I want to make is that there is no standardized format of private-public partnership. Okay. What matters is the context, number one. Number two is the capacity, the technocratic capacity of governance. You see, people in government, if they have the skill set that needed for analysis, for project design and execution, they will do a better project design and invite the private sector to provide those critical skills and finances that government may not have at that time. So this government has not departed from the general commitment to use private sector. What we'll now think about in the next 4 years will be, going by the last 4 years experience we've had, how should we structure the relationship between the public and the private? There's just a new book that came out talking about the entrepreneurial state. That means the state itself is an entrepreneur. I'll give you an example with South Korea. When General Park came in the 1960s, General Park rebuilt South Korea. What they did was that they departed from what we did in Africa and Latin America and used what people now call government managing the market. So it's not the market decided, but government using market processes to achieve strategic goals. For example, people forget that Toyota and all these car companies, Toyota was actually an agro business. They were not doing cars. The Korean government had to give them subsidy and give them export targets. So if you can export to this amount, they will give you more subsidy. So they grandfathered Toyota to become a major technology giant. My view is that government should continue to be in charge of the sector of governance, but creatively allow private sector to do what they cannot do. You just don't have to assume that private sector is the master of skills or they mean well. because their business, like they argued, Professor Friedman says,
I love your
the business
angle
of
now.
business is profit.
Now, let's imagine that we're in this platform, and Dr. Pauline Tellen has been mandated by her colleague to say, look, get us Professor Sam Amadi right from where you are to address us across board. And your mandate is, what would be your advice to them? Because the focus of this program is next level agenda and the minister's mandate. And she has taken you to one big call, you're there with them, and they tell you, if we ask you generally, what would be your advice, policy direction-wise, to us, tied to what Mr. President has given us as a challenge to drive home his vision? What will you tell them?
Well, what I would say three things. First, is that in presidential system of government, the driver of public policy is the presidency, the chief of staff. There'll be so much hue and cry around the chief of staff.
That has been explained.
Exactly. People got it wrong. Because I believe that, just like we do for the US, the chief of staff is the master of policy. That's why he's the chief of the staffers. And Section 5 of the Constitution says that the president, executive power is in the president. Who personal is personal. People forget that it's not the cabinet, it's in the president. The president exercises that executive power by himself, by his vice, or by his ministers, or by any other public officer. So what that means is that everybody is an aide of the president. That's the constitutional theory about it. Second is that because the ministers also, even if they are technocrats, even if it's the World Bank president, they are there to drive the president's vision. So the first thing I would say is that have a clear, coherent vision in all the major sectors. Give it to the ministers to drive and create feedback.
What if they refuse to drive it?
No, they can't, because...
I'm just asking.
Yes, if they do, then they lose their job, because essentially the whole basis of being a minister is that you are supporting the president to achieve clear strategic goals. Now, those goals might not be very clear, spelled in A and B. Like she said, it could be generally, we want to diversify the economy, and you are the finance minister or minister of power. You know that the president's strategy is that they want diversification, move away from oil and go to agriculture, go to services and ICT. Therefore, the minister's job is to take this framework, translate it into implementable programs, and drive that program. And then the people at the villa, the staffers, call them what you call, if you use the White House staffers, the chief of the special advisor, their job is to track implementation. Because you see, policy is interactive. You set up a policy, you implement, you see a gap. No policy is executed 100% perfect. So between execution and revision, the policy gains, purity. So for example, we want to do power, okay? Now sign Siemens contract. The minister drives the implementation. Now, as you are implementing, if you're getting the proper feedback, you will see where those policies may not achieve, that program may not achieve the policy objective. Then you revise. So the first thing we should do is to have that think tank, what I call domestic policy group in the presidency. If you look at the American model we're on, you have the Office of Budget and Management. This is directed by the Director of Budget Management. It's like the person who is in charge of management policy. Different divisions. Again, the second thing that we need is that the National Assembly is critical here. And I would advise...
Okay, let me just hold it there, because Honorable Farouk, I'll come to you. Let me come straight to the Honorable Minister with us here. Now, when the NFIU directive came off, and we did a vox pop of Nigerians, it was clear that a new vista has been opened in Nigeria. Not really a new vista, but to what status quo, what it used to be. And your ministry happens to be one ministry that is going to deal across board from the lowest tier, looking at local government, state, and at the federal level, because you're dealing with women across level. And when you talk about women, you have said it here, women talks about cuts across. That a women, that you're more than more or less here. Now, with what is on ground, it therefore means the platform has been created for you to function unfettered. Due diligence and your mandate, and to carry everybody along, how will you drive it? Because part of the problem has been the fact that once you ignore due diligence, at some point you have a policy relapse.
That's right. Thank you very much. You know, the ministry, I'm happy you agree with me that women, dealing with women is across board.
We agree with you. I don't know whether, do you have a contrary opinion?
Of course. I know for Professor Ahmadi, he has always been a he for she.
Yes.
It is clear. I'm very, very happy that Farouk is also advocating for more women in the cabinet and all other sectors. That shows clearly that we are making progress. And the ministry is not just going to deal with only women. We are changing the narratives. We will change the narrative by ensuring that we carry the men along. The he for she, like Professor Ahmadi, like Farouk, strongly believes that carrying women will make a difference in this country. We've always been talking for ourselves. We've always been talking and talking on behalf of the women. This time, I will ensure that the he for she help us drum our trumpet. We will continue talking, we'll continue emphasizing the fact that we will only get it right if women are carried along. Because you are dealing with over about 51% of the total population of this country. That's a critical mass. And dealing with women is dealing with everyone within the society. A woman, during marriage, the moment you are joined together, you are now one. You are no longer two. So carrying women along is doing good to yourself, doing good to the society. We can only get it right if we get more women on board, carry them along.
But even when you carry them along,
yes,
and you, in the process, try to truncate due diligence, will it work?
How do you truncate due diligence? Just because you are carrying women along? I don't agree with you that carrying women along will mean truncating due diligence. No. Okay. Women are more meticulous. Because what the eyes of a woman, what a woman sees, a man doesn't see it. That is a special gift given by God. A mother's eyes is round. She can dictate what is happening in front, behind, and by her side. And that's why they are perfect managers in the home. When you talk about discipline in the home, it is mother that disciplined the child. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that the success story of your growth and the discipline you had at childbirth, about 75 or 80% will be given to your mother. So if we really want to get it right, the ability, the gift God has given women as chief advisors in the home, homemakers, mothers, wives, and daughters will help move this country forward.
So you're invariably saying that the woman, even at the lowest rung of the ladder in Nigeria, has hope?
Definitely, by the grace of God. Sure, by the grace of God.
Let me go to Farouk now. He has given a generic scenario within the PPP modem. Now, taking off from the PPP modem, for the benefit of the public, as much as, yes, we agree that government drives the process, but somehow carrying along the private sector. In what areas, in line with this next level agenda, do you think should the public or the government focus on so that the entire public will be carried along?
I'll still come back to power. You know, the government needs.
I thought I will allow Ahmadi. I'll come to him eventually.
It's actually better for him.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
honestly, I think the government needs to seriously partner the public in terms of power. You know, also in terms of petroleum products like Dangote, what Dangote is doing. I think the government of this country needs to back him 100%, because what Dangote is doing will help not only Nigeria, the whole of Africa. which means if one Nigerian can come up with something that will be of benefit, to the whole country and beyond. So power, like the Mambila program, that the government wants to go into it like alone. I don't buy that. I think the government of this country should immediately start looking at partnership with the public, with the private persons, to ensure that, look, it works well.
But by hindsight, I'm aware that the government is not doing the loan.
It is doing a loan.
Because
it is the government.
A fortnight ago, a team of Chinese were en route the project.
Most of them are contractors. Okay. I'm telling you, and they were taking the loan from China and so on. But the partnership in such like what Dangote is doing, if government is interested in coming in, but then Dangote will drive it, not the public. So the dam in Mambila, the government should drive it. I mean, should come in, but allow the private sector. If private sector had been involved, I am telling you that thing would have been up and running. But because the government is trying to look for the funds to do it, it couldn't be done. So power is very, very critical. Not only the Mambila one. Government should try to ensure that more turbines are put across the country. This gas pipeline, like the new AKK coming from Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano project should be done to ensure that, look, power is also taken to private sector so that industry in this part of the country, also in the northern part of the country, can compete like as of today. Industries in Kano, Kaduna, Abuja cannot compete with the industry in Ogba, in Lagos, because of the industry in Ogun State. So this is the kind of thing that the government should ensure, that power, it's taken seriously, because when you provide power, there will be a lot of chain reaction in the economy and so on. So as far as I'm concerned, power 1, power 2, power 3. All the others will fall in line.
Okay. Talking about power, I remember vividly, I'm taking on you, Professor Ahmadi, now. As a young reporter, I was assigned to a community where government commissioned a rural electrification project. And my lead was the government, my manager then, is late now, said, what's the big deal that government commissioned power so? He told me, give me a report, tell the public about the multiplier effect of that project. What happens to the hair salon, the barbing salon, and other artisans that will benefit from power? Now, Farouk's opening remarks, he touched on power. He has touched on power again, and this is your tough. Next level agenda, which is the focus of this program, Ministerial's mandate. She talked about women. A lot of women depend on power to do their businesses, even if at the artisan level. Talk to power.
Well, I think I agree with the Minister. I mean, women are also the biggest victim of what we call power failure. So whether as homemakers, whether as petty commercial persons, women are part of what we look at inequality, access to power, not political power, electricity. Also, women are less than men, given that everybody has no power, but oftentimes women in rural areas are less stranded or excluded from access to electricity. Now, let's not forget there are 3 things we should bear in mind. First, we are a low per capita country in terms of power consumption, even lower than Ghana, that has lower quantity. But because of population, so we are probably one of the least per capita in the world in terms of access to power. The second is that we are also very low connectivity. Many communities are not connected as such, so probably up to 40% of communities are off the grid. And then we are also a country that runs a lot on generators, self-provision. Many of the Dangote, for example, are all licensed. They have their power. Many of the companies, are generating themselves. They are totally off-grid because the power is not reliable and they need so much power. So no doubt that power is a priority, and I think the government has identified that in first.
So just before you conclude, let's take this call from our first caller tonight. Our first caller tonight is Justin. He's calling in from Delta State. Hello, Justin. You're on to Tuesday Live.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I want to commend you on this program that you are organizing for the viewers all over the world to hear. Can you hear me, sir?
Thank you very much.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. The problem of this country is security. Okay. The problem of this country is security.
We can hear you.
What is Mr. President doing about this security, especially this ISO? He's sitting those embarrassing our president and other people all over the world now. Nigeria is facing disgrace all over the world. What is the minister doing about our president doing about this issue? Because this is the major agenda the people should be treating now. Security is a problem in this country.
Okay. Thank you very much, Justin. Well, that was Justin from Delta State. And I think before you conclude, let me allow the Honourable Minister to respond to that, because as much as he has a robust program for women in the country, if what Justin has raised remains a problem, will she succeed?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Justin. I agree with you. Security is a major problem. But you will also agree with me that Mr. President is doing a lot. What this government has inherited in 2015 compared to what we are experiencing now, you will agree with me that we have virtually cut Boko Haram to a standstill. And virtually all the local governments that were captured under Boko Haram has been fully returned back to Nigeria. And people are living normal lives, free movement within the Northeast now. Yes, I'm not saying that the security situation is completely taken care of. Yes, we have the shades, we have the kidnappers, we have the armed robbers here and there. But Mr. President has just put in place a new Minister of Defense who is committed to taking this matter to its logical end. And I believe that he's looking at his mandate, and Mr. President has given the Riot Act to all the security chiefs. If you notice, for the past 2 weeks, he is having security meetings virtually after every 3-4 days, reassessing the situation, giving new directives, and the situation is under control. Security issue is not just Mr. President to handle it, or the governors or the ministers. It is everybody's problem. Every Nigerian must key into this and to give the necessary information to our security chiefs. The police needs everybody's cooperation and support in order to deal with the security situation. So I want all Nigerians to know that security problem is everybody's problem, but the security chiefs and Mr. President are on top of the situation. And with God on our side, very soon the situation will be a situation of the past.
Before I allow Farouk,
if I may just chip in.
Let's take this call from Delta. Our second caller is also coming from Delta. Blessed. Hello, Blessed. You're welcome to Tuesday Live.
Hello.
You're welcome to Tuesday Live. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Blessed. What I'm trying to tell. Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. We can go ahead, Blessed. We can hear you.
Yeah. Good evening, Nigerians. What my contribution now goes to the Minister of Women Affairs. I congratulate you.
Thank you.
And secondly, what I want to release tonight is
wow, it looks as though we lost that call.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. What I'm trying to bring out now is that the woman, the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs says, it says something like, giving power to women is the best.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Contribute.
Okay. So the only thing I want to comment on this program is concerning the power being given to a woman, which is the BBC precisely. They failed us. Because anytime they want to collect that bill, that is when they will bring the light. Immediately after collecting the bill, before you see, power will go off. Of course, they are bringing huge amount of money that will be disconnecting light all over Nigeria. So they failed us. Any huge office like that should remove it from the women. It's never the best for Nigeria because it makes our economy to go down every minute.
Okay. Thank you very much. I believe Blessing is mixing up the Honourable Minister's mandate. Your women affairs.
Yes.
Anyway, you will address that. Let me allow.
Yeah, the security.
Yes.
Actually, just like what Justin said, it's true. Security, it's a major issue in this country, no matter what. Yes, the government has done, but also just like what the minister said. You see, if we all abdicate the responsibility of security to government, we're not being fair to ourselves. We have, look at the saga of the Wadume guy from Taraba. The police in this country are doing extremely well, honestly, with the limited resources they have at their disposal. So we, as the public, need to give information and follow it up. If we give information, nothing happens, we go out. Now social media is all over the place. So we can hold our leaders accountable. But let's, as a nation, agree that, look, let us not trivialize issues. When there is a criminal Muslim Fulani, he should be addressed as criminal. I'm a Fulani man. Now, if you come and say Fulani hurts men, while they are criminals, now, I am not a criminal, but I'm a Fulani man, and I'm a proud Fulani man, so don't trivialize issues. A criminal, a Muslim, a Christian is a criminal. So let, as a country, as a people, agree that the criminal in Jigawa, where I come from, and the criminal in Enugu are one and the same. If you kill one Igbo man, you've killed a Nigerian. If you steal from an Ijo man, you've stolen from a Nigerian. So let's, as a people, agree that, look, this is our issue. We have a problem. What's our problem? Security, as Justin said. How do we help the government? What is government? We are the government. All of us. The ministers, persons in government are holding these things in trust on our behalf. Okay. So no, Mr. President is no more Nigerian than I. No. He is there in trust on our behalf. So if anybody goes to say, well, if the government will not provide blah, blah, I will not, you are just cheating yourself. But so please, as a country, no more Muslim Christian. No more Fulani herdsman, no more Igbo froster, no, this kind of thing. Now, like what's happening in America, our brothers are being accused. Look, I am pained.
Interestingly,
because they are Nigerians. Sure. But some stupid persons in this country will tell you they're Igbos, they're frosters. No. Or when a Fulani man, my brother, goes to kill in Enugu, they will say that those Fulani herdsmen, a Fulani criminal is a criminal. So let's all of us understand our nation. But as long as, the elites, the elites, allow, the masses allow us, the elites, to divide the people along the ethnicity. When elites want to steal, nobody talks about where you come from. Nobody talks about ethnicity or your religion or tribe. Elites in the country steal us dry together. And then everybody will go back to his or her cocoon and start talking about tribe, religion. So let's, as a people, come together to teach the elites of this country a lesson. That look, you cannot be an elite, because I, as an elite, a northerner, a Muslim, Fulani man, I have a lot of friends from the other part of the country who are Christians. Let the masses down the line also understand the people, when the government fails, it's us. Let's look at the person a Fulani man or an Ijo man is leading. How do you help that Fulani man to succeed? What is the beauty if you cannot travel between Abuja and Kano nicely, in your car alone, you will just abdicate that, look, well, the soldiers should do it, the police should do it. No. As a nation, as a people, let's secure ourselves. Let's be our brother's keepers. Let's please, in the name of God, see ourselves. God, in his infinite mercy, has made us live together. For now, we are one people, one nation. We even fought a war to ensure we are one. So please, let the people not allow politicians to divide us. When you go to Musa Market today, Fulani man, Yoruba, Ijo, they will be there, and poverty knows no tribe. Poverty knows no religion. So let us as a people agree that, look, we have a problem. What's our problem? Security. What's our problem? Power. What's our problem? Corruption. It's not the problem of Buhari, it's our problem together. So let's all of us come together and head on, hold our ministers accountable. If any minister misbehaves, we should be on social media every day until the president hears.
Okay, before we take, I take a reaction from Professor Sam Amadi. Let's take this call from Idris. Idris is calling in from Bauchi. Hello, Idris. You're welcome to Tuesday Live.
Yeah, actually, I'm really. Yeah, thank you. I'm impressed with the discussion. And honestly, the most important thing which I feel as Nigerians, we should be patriotic. The whole thing is that it's like we are not patriotic to the country at all. I see other nations, how they organize their countries, we envy. But what is wrong with us? And this is the fault of the leaders. They go to other countries, they admire, they look at it, they are fantastic, things are organized. What is happening to us? And we have all resources required for us to be great. They see very good structures, they see organized education, they see everything going on. But since independence, there's a problem. I cannot really even understand what is happening to us. Is it because we are dull? We don't know what we want? We are not organized? What is wrong? I think we can eat coffee. I cannot really understand our leaders. Look at how the modern railways are going in other countries, even Kenya here. You admire it. But here, you realize that a lot of things are going wrong. It's like people are going into government just to pack public money and put it in their pocket. And the worst part is that anybody that packs this money, they will be playing around. The securities, the executive, everybody, nobody will be treated the way it's supposed to be. Because people are supposed to go to jail. But nothing is happening, and we are not going to progress. In the next 50 years, if we continue going the way we are doing, I'm sorry, I think we are not serious. And secondly, if you look at our kind of education, you understand, it's like we are only taught by the British to speak English. If we can speak good English, that is the end. You understand? Because it's like we are not being educated to be productive. If you can speak good English, you are the most intelligent. Our universities are not creative. You understand? There is no discovery. There is no policy mission that we want to achieve in terms of whether we define this how we want to treat education, we want to treat agriculture. We are just going. Everything is mixed up. And the truth is that people are putting public money. Nothing is happening to anybody. So I'm sorry. I don't know. But I enjoy our discussions. It's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Idris. That was Idris from...
It's very unfair. Idris will just speak and castigate every Nigerian, including himself, without bringing solution.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are here to discuss the solution.
Yes.
Just raise a concern.
Yes.
No, but
he should
what I'm saying, he should also give
solution.
And let me tell him one of the solutions. You see, when he says everybody is stealing money and so on. Now, do you know what? If nobody is held accountable, not only the government, if you steal money, you go to a village, they will hail you.
Yes.
If they don't look at you with disdain, there are also limitations to the government, what the government can do. EFCC cannot try everybody in this country. The police cannot do it. So we should also be watchdog of our people. Sure. So honestly, if And then, he also spoke about this country will never change. Of course it will never change if the masses don't understand that the politicians don't fight among themselves. If the masses don't understand that, look, stealing means sharing money together.
Okay.
So the masses should also understand and hold us, the elites and the politicians, accountable to ensure that resources of this country are used adequately, for everybody.
Well, once again, the focus of the program tonight is next level agenda and minister's mandate. Like he said, sometimes someone will say, if you go to Wuse Market and you throw a bomb, that bomb knows no tribe.
No tribe.
What we know is Nigerians. And when we heard about the FBI scam, they said Nigerian scam, not Igbo scam, not Hausa scam, not Yoruba scam, and what have you. But we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll begin with Professor Sam Amadi to conclude on the issues of power, because one of the callers talked about the challenge of power in Nigeria. The focus, again, is next level agenda and minister's mandate on Tuesday Live tonight. Don't go away.
Our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue.
Thanks for staying tuned. Our focus tonight is next level agenda and minister's mandate. And before we went on break, we had a couple of calls, and two of the calls talked on security and the next focused on power. Before we take a voice pop from Nigerians, let me take on Professor Sam Amadi to give a conclusion on the concern raised by a Nigerian to a call on power.
Well, like I was trying to point out, obviously the power situation is very critical and not looking good. But I think, based on the consensus here, we should move from complaint to solution. And so I would like to propose for the new minister, it's always good to have a minister who probably wasn't part of the system. Sometimes people want to see somebody who is part of the system, but sometimes a fresh eye, fresh ear, fresh heart could do well. So the appointment of Saleh, I think, could be a blessing in disguise, that probably he wasn't part, and of course JD himself, even though he was NMPC at top level, but of course he was not in power. Now the critical thing to do is the reason why we reformed was because we lacked critical capacity. For many years there was no investment in the power network, there was no commerciality, because if you don't create revenue stream, even if it's government owned, you will soon run out of business. So today the network is bad. You can say, like government has argued, and rightly too, that perhaps we have up to 6,000 to 7,000 megawatts we could put in the grid, and that's a lot of power. When under Baton Rouge the first time we attend 3,400 or 4,000 megawatts. It was like hell. People were jubilating. But it wasn't stable because you have no network to carry it. So the investment aspect in the distribution was very poor. So the first thing the government should do first is, I would argue, sit back and review the National Electric Power Policy. That policy was made 15 years ago. It was made on certain assumptions that are no longer true. You have to sit back and review it. Even the UK, where we borrowed, they have to review. In 1991, they have to review. They keep reviewing because policy requires review. Policy is an assumption that the world will be like X. Then it becomes Y. You have to revise. The second thing the minister should do is, I think it's always good to put some think tank around to look at problems and don't put them all from the system. Don't just come and depend on the directors of the Ministry of Power or people. Bring some people who have knowledge outside to look into the system. I see two problems. One is what I call the modeling. We modeled our power sector, in my view, wrongly. One, we expected, and I agree with him about private sector, but private sector will not do certain things. If it's not bankable, if it's not something that's profitable, if they can't see the risk clear and how to mitigate it, they will come in. So for now, for example, the sector has started a new tariff, which is what it should do. That tariff may be harsh because there's no supply. But if you phase it in gradually over time, you get to a point where it becomes very attractive. You can't get to attractive day one. That is why I give an example of Egypt. And then you have to provide subsidy. That's what I call the Power Consumer Assistance Fund. Because if you increase tariff, some people may have low capacity to consume. So that intervention will help them to be able to cushion the impact of the tariff increase. So the government should look at that. And then I think, I said about modeling. We modeled with the assumption that the private sector will come and build the power plants. When we privatize, we saw the people who bought it. The internationals didn't like to come because you don't blame them. This is a country that just moved from public ownership to private. They have not seen the footprint of revenue recovery. They are not sure this will work, so they share the way. Our guys, smart guys, borrowed money and bought this asset. They don't have money to invest in capacity and recovery anymore. So government has to understand that the problem is the problem of capacity. And that's why I give the model that if we had started with corporatizing and commercializing government entities, for example, NTA is government owned, is not correct. But because you are facing competition from private broadcasters, you are improving every day. That is how you move. So when the companies are now strong commercially, you sell. That's why you get good buyers. Nobody buys a failing company at a good price. And those who buy are likely those who don't have the capacity, who may do what we call asset stripping. So these new ministers have to sit back and say, we are dealing with people who don't have enough capacity. How can we help them access funding? How can we help them get the money? The tariff will not provide all the revenue. And the third point I think is very critical is project implementation. This government has improved on project. I'll give two examples. NIPP was supposed to have 2 phases. By now, NIPP should have given out 10,000 megawatts. But contracts were awarded to people who didn't have capacity in the past. Some of the contracts were revised after 3-4 years. So you've lost capacity. Look, Egypt, 3 years got 10,000. So if you retool the model and do effective project management,
if you give Professor Samama this space, to the end of this program, it will end up. Let me hold you there. When we come back on the next level of the program, we'll move to the next level of this program, all in trying to deliver on the next level agenda. But let's take this call from Peter. Peter is calling in from Ibadan. Hello, Peter. Welcome to Tuesday Live.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Good evening.
My contribution, I want to contribute on corruption in our nation. They said charity begins from home. Let our leaders, let them lead by examples. They should lead by examples. There are some things that we youth can emulate from them. For example, our senators, our House of Representatives, buying cars, buying vehicles. They have cars on their own. Let them lead by examples. They should show examples to we youth that we are coming from behind. We should emulate something from our leaders. God will help us in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Well, that's the concern by Peter. And if the Vox Pop is not ready, let me take on Honorable Ali before coming to the Honorable Minister. But I hear the Vox Pop is ready.
Can I respond to him? Okay.
Okay, you want to respond?
Yes,
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. You know, when he spoke about National Assembly members buying cars, Do you know the public are also not helping matters? I was a member of House of Reps. I was a minority leader. In my village, nobody had ever asked me on what's the bill, what's the motion, how do you, no, absolutely no. In fact, Obasanjo was the one who created with the National Assembly what is now called constituency project. That the masses needed you as a member of assembly to bring a project to them. Forgetting the fact that, look, it's from a common pool. If federal government of Nigeria goes to Enugu to build a road, it doesn't have to be, nobody's name should be put there. So let the people also understand. They put pressure on the politicians as well. That, look, you have not brought any project. Not knowing that as a legislator, you have no business in bringing project. But it has been put into the minds of public that all members of National Assembly, including state assemblies, now have constituency projects. So let also as a people agree that, look, from now on, we will measure our legislators, whether they are legislating well, whether they have oversight on the government to ensure the government delivers. Okay. Like the ministers, if they don't deliver, they ensure that they are moved.
Okay. Peter also talked about living by example and for the youth to emulate. And he didn't just only accuse the
legislators.
He talked about the ministers too.
Yes.
What do you have to say about this?
Well, Peter, I fully agree with you. As a mother, I believe in leading by example. Yes, we must teach by example. If I want you to do things right, take for example, if I want my staff to be at work in good time, I must first of all start coming to work in good time. The moment you start coming to work in good time, others will key in. The same thing with any other thing. You must do things right. You must have integrity. You must represent the face of Mr. President, what the president believes in, what the president is talking about that leaders should. We must live by example so that other Nigerians can do the right thing. Okay. So, Peter, I fully agree with you, and I believe that this crop of ministers will not fail Nigerians. Okay. I, as a mother, as a Minister of Women Affairs, I believe that I will lead by example. I will walk and do things that every Nigerian woman will be proud of.
Wow. Amen.
Well, I'm very happy with this discussion. He for she. I'm particularly excited. Yes, Farouk and Professor Ahmadi. I'm really excited with this. No. Even before I engage them, from the discussion, they believe in it. Yes, he's been a member for a long time. Okay. And from Farouk's discussion this evening, he's calling on Mr. President to appoint more women, not just as ministers, more women into the cabinet, more women as chairmen of board and parastatals, more women as ambassadors. I give you a thumb up.
I think the issue of good example is not just about what we say with our mouth, it's also about processes. For example, there's a law signed by the SGF under Obasanjo that no minister or anybody should fly first class. It's a government policy, but it's not implemented.
It's still not.
I was the first person who did it as chief executive. I banned it. You see, there are certain things that the people want to see.
Yes.
That you go to the same market.
Yes.
That you feel like them.
Yes.
That, personal image matters in governance, symbolism. People want to see. For example, if tomorrow a Minister of Women Affairs goes to some communities and meet them, those are things that give sense of patriotism. Oftentimes we say that our young people don't have patriotism, but government is so alienated. People in government are so way off from the people that they see them as the enemy, whereas those are the people that should interact. So we should, part of the next agenda will be to bridge that gap between the people and the leaders, so that the people feel that we can trust them, they look like us. There was a time that Clinton used about $50 to cut hair. It was a big uproar. When Barack was running for the man who died, McCain, his wife was a billionaire, he inherited billions for his mother. He was wearing a Gucci shoe. It was a big uproar. Why is this so? Because democracy is designed so that the people that govern us look like us. So that optics that you look like us gives us confidence to trust you. So I think the leaders, even those who are very rich, should minimize that alienation, that difference, so that people don't see you as, oh, they're up there. Once they see that, they withdraw trust, and then it's difficult for government to change behavior. For issues about insecurity, government has a capacity to change behavior. When people trust government, they listen and they change behavior. That's critical.
Besides the
Let me add something to it. I agree with you, and I want to emphasize the fact that that same policy you talk about, that no government official should fly first class, is still the same.
Yes, it's the same.
Mr. President, in our letters of appointment, it is clearly written that no minister should fly. Anyway, all ministers should fly business class.
That's what it is.
So if a minister should fly business class, I don't think anybody within the ministry can go above that. The same thing with our dressing code. We're talking about Nigeria being a consuming nation. We must encourage production, and we must encourage made in Nigerian products, made in Nigerian goods, dress like Nigeria, be proud that you are a Nigerian, act as a Nigerian, just like the Americans, they wear t-shirts, I love America. We should be proud of Nigeria. We should be proud of what God has given us, and Nigerians are blessed with everything.
Thank you.
What Nigerians tell us can sow, you can't get, there's none of the African countries that can beat us. We are blessed with everything. Look at your beautiful cap. Look at what I'm wearing. Look at what Farouk is wearing.
Apart from me,
yes, you are the only one that is suited. But at least this is a Nigerian tailor that made this. It's a Nigerian tailor that saw this.
This is a Nigerian tailor.
We look good. You look good.
Yes.
So we should patronize Nigerian products.
Absolutely.
And we should reduce all these imported items into
the character of Tuesday Live. Besides the phone calls we receive, we also give an opportunity to Nigerians to give us a feel of how they feel about the issue. So at this point, in addressing next level agenda and minister's mandate, we took our cameras to the streets to feel the pulse of Nigerians. Let's take a look, listen to that.
In any nation to prosper, you must consider your educational system, be it one of the best priorities of any government. When you live in peace and harmony.
Job, that's what we need. That's all I want. I believe the president can do it because he's a nice man.
So whatever portfolio that they are appointed to take care of, I just employ them to have a conscience, to put themselves in the place of the masses and do what they ought to do. Education is paramount in the sense that the high level of insecurity now, if they should just put those structures that at least basic education, primary education for the people that need to be educated, it will help. It will educate the mind. When you educate the mind, you educate the society.
Well, I want them to work more in empowering the women, most especially those that are into entrepreneurship. They should be able to fund them in their entrepreneurship businesses so that they can be able to also cater for their children. Because when the women are empowered, they will be able to care for their own children too. And that will make our country to move forward.
Free education, free medical care. I get 2 graduates, no work. I still cooking the mama put where I give them, train them. So let them lure us well. Look inside the office and know what is happening there.
Always very interesting there. You heard Nigerians. The very last one talked about the fact that she used the same food vendor business she's doing to train her children. No work. The other lady talked about the fact that the president can deliver. And Esther, I picked her name, said that women empowerment. And I start with the Honourable Minister. What's your plan for women empowerment?
Thank you very much. I want to commend the 2 women that spoke in the video there. The first one emphasized hope. She believes, and she believes that Mr. President can create more jobs. In the President's, during the retreat and in his speech, during the inauguration, he assured Nigerians that more jobs will be created. Not just creation of jobs, but empowering the women and the small-scale business, because once you empower the woman, you are empowering the family and the community. Empowering the woman is always, it has a multiplier effect, because there is no loan that is given to women that has not been effectively used and even repaid back. We tried it during the Better Life program. We tried it all through the recent one we've been doing with under the NDA program. Just 10,000 naira to petty traders. It has changed so many women's lives. So this is to tell you that once the woman is given some little bit of encouragement, it goes a long way to change the economy of the country. And whatever she gets, whatever that improves in her economy, is to the benefit of the family. A woman doesn't need anything more than the care of her family. Her children to go to school, her children have enough food to eat, medical care, and name it. Okay. So the empowerment program, I am reaching out to the private sector, because government alone cannot do it. And our budget line in the ministry is nothing to write home about. So I will not just rely on government. I am reaching out to sister ministries. The Minister of Agriculture, we are going to work hand in hand with him, because a lot of women are into agriculture. Yes. We need women to be empowered with agricultural implements, agricultural loan, the Bank of Industry to support women with credit facilities, which anytime they are given, they use it well and the economy will improve. Women in education, the girl-child education is key, because educating a woman is educating the nation. Once you empower and educate the woman, most of the problems confronting women will be solved. Because if a woman is educated, she knows her rights, she can take good care of herself. Most of the violence against women and the problem of early pregnancy, early marriage, is because the girl child is not properly educated or not encouraged to go to school. So I'm calling on all Nigerians, all parents, to ensure that we support and encourage the girl child education. Until we do that, we are going to keep going round and round the cycle. The loans, the package we have for this thing, we'll reach out to donor agencies, we'll reach out to all intervention agencies to support women. And women are already, most of the women organizations are fully organized. We have women in different cooperative groups. It is under the cooperative groups that you give them loan for small-scale business, and women are very innovative. They've never failed once they've given some little support. So I want to call on all well-meaning Nigerians, the private sector, the various ministries, that my ministry will relate with all sectors. Okay. Because anything that concerns the woman concerns everyone. All of you here will agree with me. You have wives, you have mothers, you have daughters. And if this large chunk of the population of this country are taken care of, you will have peace in your home, you will be happy, the economy will improve. Okay. Because we are handling the right sector.
Okay. Now, before I take on Honorable Farouk, let's go to Lagos, where Festus is standing by. Hello, Festus. You're welcome to Tuesday Live. Hello, Festus.
Hello.
Welcome to Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much.
I want to speak on. I can hear you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Can you turn down the volume of your television set, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, it looks as though we are distracted by that call. Well, quickly, now, when this administration came on board in May 2015, a couple of things happened. The economy went into a recession. Government took a couple of steps, reflected the economy, and sooner or later, Nigeria gained traction in the ease of doing business. Several places, I can't remember the counts now, and that also rubbed up on other countries. This is a global thing, and as much as the challenges were there, several steps were taken, social protection programs, all that, and we are here transmitting from a change matter to the next level agenda. How can this government run with this policy already started in the first term and moving into the second term? And a lot of persons clearly see things a bit more modified than what it was.
Well, you see, I think the government should look at this SIP program, where now moving away from women, the way she said.
I know SIP. Others may not know
okay,
SIP.
well, the social intervention program of the government,
okay,
where like the trader money, 5,000, which probably you and I think is nothing. If you go to your village, 5,000 is a lot of money. It can change somebody's life. So I think the government needs to, involve more people so that there will be more spread, the trader money, the cash transfer, conditional cash transfer to those indigents, those that are the poorest of the poor in this country. The government should continue to do that to, enlarge the distribution of that money. Also, the graduate program where, graduates that have no jobs collect 30,000, for a start. Those are things that, because there are so many people in this country that have graduated and have no jobs. So the government, I think, should put more money into that so that there could be more people in the program. Then, back to us, the elites also. All of us have responsibility because, look, when there are issues of security, it's everybody's. Let us, all of us, all the elites, those that can afford, the civil servants, the elites, all of us, go back to our villages. At least sponsor one child that you have no relation with. One child. It's to school, one. Those that also can afford should also go back to our villages and set up a cottage industry. No matter whether you will make profit or not, because you're doing something that will help the community. All over in the Western world, there's what you call connivance of the elites. The elites connive to give social security so that you, the rich people, will live in peace. Because once you deny people education, you deny them their livelihood, they'll come back after you. So which means the elites also should connive among themselves, that to ensure you give back to where you come from. All of us that are 50, 60 and above, we went to public school. In the northern part of the country, I didn't pay anything to go to school. So some of us that, by the grace of God, we are where we are, should all go back and help, not the government. You are helping yourself. So let us all go back. What's the problem in my community? See what you can do, no matter how little. Let us not leave everything to government, that the government must do everything. But then, let us also, as a people, hold our leaders accountable. Just like what Professor said, the people of this country are frustrated. The people don't see the leaders as one and the same, because probably the Honorable Minister now has a convoy of 10 vehicles. Example.
Probably.
I said, that's it, probably. I'm coming. I'm just, So we have to start leading by example, the way somebody said. Then look, a minister should not be seen with retinue of security persons. A minister should not be seen with retinue of vehicles. We have to start, doing those kind of things so that the people will understand that, yes, we are leading by example. Yes, we are trying to ensure we inculcate these kind of characters in our people so that let all of us take this country as one and the same. And let us again, for the umpteenth time, let us see ourselves as our brother's keepers, not because of where we come from. Anybody who is doing well should be commended for doing well. Anybody that is not doing well should be, condemned, whether you are Muslim or you are Christian. If anybody who feels President Buhari is not doing well, please don't spare him. Don't spare the president. He is the president for us. And as I said, he is holding everything in trust on our behalf. President Buhari is no more Nigerian than I. Minister here is no more Nigerian than my wife, So let us all understand that, look, we cannot all be leaders. We cannot all govern. So we have chosen them. God has chosen them for us to lead us. And take God beg you, Minister, and other colleagues of yours. Please lead by example. Please shun corruption. Please make sure when we see you, we see minister who is with the people, not minister who will start siren and beating people all over the place. So these
I love your advocacy, but there is this unfounded concern in some quarters that under the president's administration, people are not allowed to speak their minds. Do you agree with that?
No. Let me even tell you, it is totally not true. In fact,
he is a stakeholder in this administration.
Let me tell you, I have not seen anywhere that anybody is castigated for saying his mind. No.
Or arrested?
No. For saying your mind?
Or gagged?
No. Nobody is gagged. What I'm saying, look, who is gagged? Who? People come out to say whatever they want to say. There is somebody, I don't want to mention his name, comes out with videos probably once a week, castigating the president. If he will castigate the president for probably failing to do one thing, he will get supporters from all over the country. But when you castigate president for being a Fulani man, when you call Nigeria a zoo, you don't expect, and you don't expect us as a people to sit by and watch any Nigerian who calls himself Nigerian to call us that we're living in a zoo. So if you call that gagging, yes, just like the Shia problem. If nobody will ban, the government has not banned Shia. No, because it's a sect in Islam, so you cannot stop it. But then if you try to disrupt the movement of people, the government has a responsibility. Nobody is gagged, honestly. And I, Farouk Adamu Aliyu, shall fight this government, my government, if it gags anybody. And I tell you, no. Because I as a person, have been one of the people that have said anything before we came into power. And nothing has happened to us. Not much. And in this government too. I don't have not seen one person, honestly, that has been arrested because of saying his mind.
I've kept Professor Amadi so silent for some time, but before I come back to you, let's take this call from Usman. Usman is calling in from Abuja. Hello, Usman. Welcome to Tuesday Live.
God bless Nigerian.
You're welcome.
God bless the moderator. And God bless the humble person in the studio. Let me start from the minister. I congratulate you, our Mama Pauline, and the Honorable Farouk. You have spoken well. And my daddy, Professor Amadi. Nigeria is blessed. Okay. I'm overwhelmed with all your guests in the studio there. Let me start with we the poor, because we are the major problem of this country. I know a lot of people will not be happy with the manner now I'm just trying to expatiate based on my little understanding. I see the solution of this country from we the poor. We can change the country. We are seeing the wrongs that is happening within our local community, and we are not giving the information to the security apparatus. That is the reason why this country cannot move forward. The progress of a country started from the grassroots. What did I mean? Before you become a rich man, you was once a poor man before. So I'm crying to the poor that please and please, let us support what we have. The elite that we are talking about, whether we like it or not, that is the best that our Creator wants to give us in this country, to lead us. When you respect your leaders and support your leaders, believe me, honestly speaking, no matter what they will do, protect them, pray for them, and honestly, we will get the best results. And again, I would like to call our Ministry of Justice. No matter how it is, no matter what they earn in a month, they should be fair in terms of handling any kind of case. Because our prayers matters. And the rich that are there, which I always see Mama Pauline, I see her as the future president of this country, whether you like it or not. Yes. I said it with confidence. Sir, I want to call all Nigerian citizens that we the men, we have ruled this country for how many years? Obasanjo, the former president, ruled this country for 8 years. President Yaradua, may so rest in peace, for 2 years. Our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, for 6 years. And our current president, which is President Muhammadu Buhari, for 4 years. Uploading for another more 4 years.
Well, that's the much we could take from the last caller there, and that's the last call for today. You raised a lot of issues. Let me start from the last women presidency, and then we started campaigning for you, Minister. Well, I think he raised a number of issues that we should talk to. But before we do that, before I lose track with this, when we heard about diversification, we argued with some persons, and until we met a scholar who said, an economy is naturally diversified. It depends on how you tailor the diversification. Now, you hear so much about Nigeria being a mono economy, all that. Now, what responsive mechanisms or mitigating efforts can be taken to really give a teeth to the diversification program as we are on it? Because it looks as if a lot of people say it's lip service. We have not really seen it yet, as much as we have programs on ground.
Well, essentially, I think Nigerian economy has been gradually been diversified. Don't forget that when our economy was rebased and we became the largest economy in Africa, it was largely because of the impact of the Nollywood and the entertainment sector. So before the last 10 years, we didn't have that, or 20 years, we didn't have that. But now we have, agriculture is growing. We are largely an agrarian people, but we've not commercialized agriculture. And this government has built on what Akin Adesina did with commercializing the value chain, moving agriculture into marketizing it, so that all the value chain, you need facility, you need, like government is doing now, you need, through the NIASA program, you need credit facility, you need better seedling, you need also some cultural changes, and then that's diversification. So if you look at the Nigerian, the GDP contribution of agriculture, GDP contribution of service sector has grown. But what we need, I think what we want to see is greater, maybe at a point where oil will probably be less than 50% oil receipt of our earning because of the turbulence in oil and the fact that oil is a wasted resource. What do we do? I think the program framework is good. What we need now is intensifying those frameworks, and you need a couple of things. We need to understand that global economy, you move from agrarian to manufacturing to service. But because we are here to industrialize fully, we are taking advantage of high technology to leapfrog, as it were. European economies became first industrial, big time, before they moved to service sector, innovation economy. But now we have many startups, young people who are setting up startups. We have ICT hubs in Lagos, elsewhere. You see when the Vice President talks about support to helping building entrepreneurial class. So that means we are leapfrogging, we are moving faster, getting to technology, which is a driver of wealth creation. But the critical thing I would say, what we need to do at this point is that agriculture needs not just in terms of big commercial farmers. The small household farmers are very critical. Why? Because of poverty and inequality. To address poverty, you need to target more of smallholder farmers in the rural areas, because those are the ones whose income, you're improving local income. And then cottage industry, like you said, one of the things I wanted to do when I was going to run for governor in Imo State primary, I didn't win the primary anyway, was to look at cottage industry as a way of creating economic wealth, rural economy. It has three advantages. One is that cottage industry helps you to locate those households that are poor. Secondly, it creates capacity so that you stop urban-rural migration, because urban-rural migration is because...
How will you link that to the social investment program?
Absolutely. No, that's a critical point. The social investment program should not only be about sending money. It's also about skill, critical. Many people in the rural areas could start small, maybe agro-processing, small plants. It's also about local entrepreneurship. So we move from livelihood support, 5,000, 10,000, to helping those people receive those money, access skills, small skills, retail of skills, and then advisory services so that they can become entrepreneurs. You don't need to have too much money to be an entrepreneur. You need knowledge, you need government support, and this is critical. Infrastructure in rural areas, because don't forget that agro products have to come to the market in urban areas. So if the roads are bad, before they get there, everything is spoiled. You suffer a loss. Any small entrepreneur or farmer who suffers harvest loss will be difficult to recover. And that's why infrastructure, lights in the rural area, good roads, small market, helping them with programs that enable them to get to market is critical. I think the SPI is good, but what we need now is intensity. We need to refine the linkage. China is a good example for it. We should study China. China did not just give money. China is a country that has lifted more people out of poverty than any other country in the world. And the secret is that China networked poverty reduction in all programs. It's not just a standoff one program, SPI. It's a program that's mainstreamed through everything, including education. Women are a good catchment area. If you improve women's income, improve the education, you improve the ability, the human capital, and improve the ability to replicate better agricultural practices, better living standard across the board. So I think that we should not just make SIP a standoff. We should mainstream poverty reduction. Take this statistics. Nigeria is the highest. Oxfam said Nigeria is the most unequal country in the world. And three ways you deal with inequality is: one is pro-interventions. How much of your revenue goes to social program? If you look at our budget, how much we should put more into those drivers of human development. The second is labor rights. Today, many employers are taking things for granted. Workers need to have. That's why I like the president's acceptance of the minimum wage. I want to thank the government of Kaduna State for moving ahead to say they want to start it. Yes, people might say there's no money, but there are things you can cut to invest in more earning for the poor, because those poor earners improve their livelihood, they improve the economy better. So I think a philosopher says the best investment is putting milk in the mouth of children. We should not delegitimize investment in human development. Physical infrastructure is good, but more important is human infrastructure. And that's why I think the government has to focus. Like China did, not just one program, let every program address inequality. Okay. And lastly, I think it's important to look back at tax. We need to have progressive tax. We need to take more from the rich to reinvest everywhere in the world. Every country has...
But that does not mean you give tax holiday to the poor.
No, that means you pay as you can afford. Because, like you said, it's in the interest of the rich that the poor also come to a certain level of comfort to be able to keep the illusion of inclusion in capitalism.
Okay.
Well, just in addition to what he said about China and so on, you see, then we still come back to what this government is harping on: corruption. Because everything he spoke about revolves around corruption. China realized that, look, I think it is there where the practice, what the president keeps saying, if you don't kill corruption, corruption will kill you. In China, you are caught corrupt, they will kill you. Simple. So I'm not saying corrupt people should be killed here, but then until such a time when people of this country, all of us, agree that, look, let us fight this corruption. Let us not support ministers and persons in government to be corrupt. Because when you reduce corruption, there is more money to spend. So until such things are done, taking people out of poverty, yes, it's a good idea, but it will all be like, in theory.
I was just about asking you the question.
Yes.
Now, you watch, I'm not a soccer freak, but I'm sure one of us is a soccer freak here. You're watching the match, and you could see all kinds of loopholes.
Yes.
But I'm sure if you go to the field or play, you won't play it. Same for those who are by the sidelines watching those who play drafts. You see the game, but when you say play, you don't play well. So now there has been this campaign launched in the first term of this government, which is still raging. Change begins with me. It's easier said than done. Can you speak to Nigerians as we tie this program? You are just capped up on, as we move on. I started somewhere. Mr. President is so passionate. He keeps saying, please support me to succeed. I'm in my last lap, and I'll never have this opportunity again as a president. Constitutionally, he will never come back again at the end of his tenure here. What will you say to Nigerians? It's not all about the minister here, or the senators, or the House of Representatives, by the governors. It's all about all Nigerians. Speak to Nigerians.
Okay, so, fellow Nigerians, let's start by the market woman in the market shall not cheat a customer. Let us also, the Nigerian police should stop collecting money from road users. Road safety persons that collect money, they should also stop doing it. We should start from as trivial as that kind of thing. Or following the queue. When you come, you see a queue, you decide to shout. So fellow Nigerians, we should start from those things that we think mean nothing. If we start with those kind of things, then back to the ministers and government employees that, look, no minister should go with 10 vehicles because the amount of fuel used, those kind of things. So fellow Nigerians, let's all look at ourselves and tell ourselves, what do we do to bring about change? What do I do as a person to change myself, my behavior, so that this country will be a better place? I think if all of us believe in this and change, then the work will be less for the government, which is for all of us.
Okay. Let's wrap up with our mother, because she's the one in government.
Yeah, exactly.
And, what is your last take as we talk to Nigerians, assuring them of next level agenda, minister's mandate? As much as I'm not saying tied to your ministry alone, speak the minds of your colleagues.
Thank you very much. At this point, I want to appeal to the consciousness of all Nigerians that we are all stakeholders in this struggle to make Nigeria a better place. Mr. President, ministers, governors are not magicians. Each of us should do everything in our little way to contribute to making this country a better place. A major problem with all of us is the absence of love. What is lacking in Nigeria that has culminated to so much of this problem, particularly corruption, is the absence of love. Because if you love your country, you won't steal, you won't cheat, you won't hurt anyone, you won't talk badly about your country, you will do things right. So love is critical. And when you have love in you, you will not talk about religion, you will not talk about ethnicity, you will not talk about anything. You see your fellow brothers, any Nigerian, as your brother. So the change we are talking about, Nigeria can only change if me and you can change. I agree with one of the callers that said ministers, top government officials must lead by example. Yes, I strongly believe in that. This morning I was telling my staff that from henceforth, I don't want to be using the security, the pilot car in Abuja. It's madness. Because you only need the pilot car, the security, when you are out of Abuja. Protocol-wise, only Mr. President has the right to use the siren in Abuja. I am appealing to all of us Nigerians. Let's love our country. Let's do things right. Let's have the fear of God. Let's contribute positively to making Nigeria a better place. If you are a messenger, do your work well.
Message well.
Message well. Message well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If you are a pilot, pilot well. Whatever you do, everybody has something to do to contribute to making this country great. It's not just about Mr. President. As my dear brother Farouk said, he's not better than any other Nigerian. God has assigned him there to hold forth. And Mr. President, you all know, is passionate to ensuring that things come up right. The issue of corruption is because we don't love ourselves. We don't love this country. Greed. What do you need all the billions for? To me, it's madness. So let's have the fear of God. Let's love our country and be moderate in all that we do. If we are moderate in all that we do, everybody around us will be happy. I feel happier when I put a smile on my neighbor's face. Anybody around me, if he's depressed, I feel depressed. Okay. If I make you happy, I'm happier than you. So that should be the message. That should be the attitude for every Nigerian. Let us reach out. Let's try, at least, before the end of the day, do one or two things right, put a smile on your neighbor's face, and do something that will make Nigeria better. That at the end of the day, when you are taking stock before you go to bed, you can now count one or two things that you have contributed to make Nigeria better. If each one of us do that, Nigeria will be a better place.
Well, I had a trump card for the Honorable Minister. Follow her trajectory from Plateau State to date. She's one minister today that a lot of persons expect a lot from. And I prayed her to have this last few minutes before we go on the program. I will leave you go without asking you this question.
Okay.
So before I ask, let me say something. The minister's view she has given convinces me that she has her heart in the right place.
Absolutely.
She will deliver. She understands the mission.
The trump card is this. Why I say people have this expectation from you, you have entered the annals of history of being one of those that said, I don't want disappointment on grounds of principle. And today, you are back at the center stage as a minister. What if you fail?
By the grace of God, I'll never fail. Failure is not in my dictionary. And because my heart is for success, is for Nigeria to be better, God sees our heart.
Yes.
And it is what God sees in your heart that he will enable you to do it. I believe from my heart of heart that if more women are given the opportunity, this country will be better.
I agree with that.
Take Rwanda. Rwanda is a small country, but the contribution over more than 65%. And look at Rwanda today. Rwanda is exporting things all over the world. The president believes in women, and he has given them the opportunity, and they have not failed him. Yes, Mr. President is taking a step. He has added one to the number of ministers. We appreciate you, Mr. President. We say thank you on behalf of Nigerian women. We say thank you, but it is still not enough. We are asking for more. Not just in the ministerial. We are demanding more women in the, to be appointed as ambassadors. We are demanding more women to be appointed as chief executive of parastatals, more women as board members, more women in all, more permanent, female permanent secretaries.
Thank you very much.
If we have that, you yourself will be happy. And I'm happy this evening that my two colleagues here are he for she.
Thank you
God
very much.
bless you, Farouk. God bless you. He for she. God bless you. God bless Professor Amadi for your support.
The he for she
and
movement.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Out of 50 permutations about ministerial nominees ahead of the list coming out of the 50, Pauline Kedem remained number one on the list, and she became. So that's why I asked that question. Well, we come to the end of Tuesday Live tonight, and the focus has been the next level agenda and the minister's mandate. Well, let me start by thanking Professor Sam Amadi, Faculty of Law, Based University, for being on Tuesday Live tonight. Thank you so much. and Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliu, industrialist, businessman, and former minority leader, House of Representatives. It was good to have you on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
And last but not the least, Minister of Women Affairs and former Deputy Governor, Plateau State, Pauline Tellen. We believe, like you've said, the stakes are high on you.
I know.
You turned down an ambassador appointment, and today you're a minister. Yeah. You just were, it was just there. You deliver on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's that on Tuesday Live tonight. The train has taken off, and we believe you joined the train. We have talked to Nigerians. Nigerians have spoken to us on the need to really take Nigeria to the next level. And Mr. President has said, this is his last chance. Let us all together rally around him to deliver on this mandate. Change next level agenda. That's it on Tuesday Live. On behalf of all of us, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.